Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuhu. I am Siti Ayesa Nursura K. Manalaw, and this is the continuation of Group 5. And my topic is the 16th marriage. Persons acquire special duties on account of their moral and legal relationship to one another. One such relationship is established in marriage. The 1988 Family Code of the Philippines defined marriage as a special contract of permanent union between a man and a woman, enter into in accordance with the law for the establishment of conjugal and family life. Nature of marriage is moral and legal contract between a man and a woman. It is a moral contract because it is entered to by both parties acting freely and voluntarily. It is legal contract because it is solemnized in accordance with the law. The subject of marriage is the man and woman giving their respective consent to live together as husband and wife. For Christians, marriage is a divine institution. As such, man is not free to alter the nature of marriage, and upon entering the married state, a person becomes subject to its divinely made laws and its essential properties. By definition, therefore, gay marriage or marriage between two same sexes, though legalized in some countries, is not strictly a marriage. In its moral sense, other forms of marriage which are not morally admissible in Christian society are polygamy, which is having more than wife or husband at the same time, and polyandry, which is having more than one husband at the same time. Bigamy is contracting marriage while an existing marriage is validly in effect. Legal requirements for marriage. 1. Contracting parties must be a male and female of legal age. Both are at least 18 years old, free from any legal impediments as defined by law. Some legal impediments are A. Existing previous marriage, B. Mental or psychological incapacity, C. Consanguinity such as that between a brother and sister, D. Treachery or deceit such as pretending that one is single. Number 2 is free and voluntary consent must be expressed in the presence of solemnizing officer. This means that the consent to marry is a social act entailing obligations towards the community. Thus, weddings are celebrated in public or at least in the presence of two witnesses. Hence, the mutual consent of man and woman to love and live together as husband and wife does not constitute a marriage. This is called cohabitation, a status which does not grant legal rights and privileges to the couple. The purpose of marriage. Marriage has the twofold purposes of establishing a conjugal life, companionship, and the establishing of a family, procreation, and support of children. Companionship is the first purposes of marriage. The Lord said it wasn't good for a man to be alone. God designed marriage so that man and woman could have a close relationship. This relationship is based on love, trust, and communication, and provide a picture of our relationship with the Lord. Marriage is where husband and wife can come together to share their lives and experiences. A healthy marriage should be a refuge from the world where couple can find comfortable and support. Procreation means the second purpose of marriage is procreation. God designed marriage so couples could have children and raise them in loving homes. Children are a blessing from God, and it is important that they be raised in a home where they can learn about God's love. In addition, children need two parents who can provide love and guidance. A family grounded in God's principle will be much more likely to succeed than one that doesn't have this foundation. The marriage state constitutes a conjugal society, the stable union entered into by a man and a man for the procreation and education of children and for mutual supports and helpless. Marriage is a natural institution derived from the human nature while having children does not constitute marriage. It is a marriage that the care of and education of children are assured. The primary purpose then of marriage is the procreation and the care of children. This is why marriage by nature and by divine plan is permanent relationship in order to safeguard the welfare of the children. Marriage as sacred. Marriage is not simply a civil contract, a piece of paper as some would deride it. It is sacred union of the soul of the spouses by matrimony, says Pope Pius VI. The souls of the contracting parties are joined and knit together more directly and more intimately than are their bodies, and that not by passing affection of sense or spirit, but by a deliberate and firm act of the will. And this union of soul by God's decree, a sacred and inviolable bond arises. Marriage is sacred on account of God who instituted it. It is sacred on account of a man through generous surrender of his own person made to another for the whole span of life. It is now being argued that marriage is now better than any other type of relationship and should not have a special status in law. It is said that marriage is just a piece of paper, but this is not how God sees it. At the beginning of creation, God spelled out the importance of marriage to mankind when after Eve was created for Adam. The Bible records, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Marriage is a creation ordinance, and therefore God's teaching on marriage and sex is relevant to the world as well as the church. Marriage is meant for the good of all people, not just Christian. Marriage clearly is different from other types of relationship. Marriage is part of God's common grace. The indissolubility of marriage. The family code affirms that marriage is a permanent contract. This means that the validity of the contract, once rendered effective by law, remains in force until the death of one of the spouses. The indissolubility of marriage derives from the express commitment of the spouses to giving themselves to one another, wholly and completely for the rest of their earthly life. Therefore, marriage is not a temporary arrangement that lasts only for as long as the couple wishes to stay together. There are those who regard marriage as a convention which do not apply to them. They consider themselves liberated, not needing papers to express their commitment to one another. They believe that their love for one another is so deep and strong to last them a lifetime. While this kind of lasting love is possible outside marriage, it does not render marriage unnecessary. Instead, marriage which presupposes the sincere love of the couple for each other turns a mere personal promise into a public and sacred vow. A wedding, for that matter, is not simply a ceremony, a theatrical presentation, but the affirmation of the solemn vow by the spouses to have and to hold, to accept responsibility for each other until death. The meaning of conjugal love. It is obvious that a man and woman do not desire marriage only to have a sexual intimacy, since this can be had even without having no marriage each other. Motivated by their love for one another, a couple commit themselves to build a life together. Conjugal love, therefore, is not the result of biology. It is a rational response to a deeper meaning of life by sharing self with another in the spirit of love, by means of the reciprocal personal gift of self, proper and exclusive to them. Husband and wife tend towards personal perfection to collaborate with God in the generation and education of new lives. Characteristic of conjugal love. Number 1, it is human. It is not merely the appetite of the senses. It is instead an act of the free will intended to endure and to grow by means of the joys and sorrows of daily life in such a way that husband and wife become one and only heart and one only soul and together attain their human perfection. Number 2, it is total. It is a special form of friendship, of generous sharing of everything without under reservation or selfish calculation. Whoever truly loves his marriage partner loves not only for what he receives but for the partner's self, rejoicing that he can enrich his partner with the gift of himself. Number 3, it is faithful and exclusive until death. Love, if it must be genuine, must be lasting. This permanence comes from the vows of fidelity to each other, a conditioned love where certain factors foreseen not are provided as prerequisite to fidelity is not authentic love. It is a timid and selfish love because it puts personal interest above the interest of the union itself. It belongs to the essence of love itself than of be faithful and exclusive because happiness and security cannot thrive in the atmosphere of uncertainty and fearful anxiety. Number 4, it is fecund. It is fertile because it helps husband and wife grow in mutual respect and love and concern for each other. It is fertile because such love is not exhausted by the spouses, but it is referred and continued in the children. Fecundity in the sense measured by the number of children couple have, but by the quality of love shared in the family. That's all. Thank you.